Well, I'm very pleased to say that joining me in the studio now, of course, is our economics and business editor. It's Liam Halligan. Liam, thank you very much. On the face of it, it looks bad, doesn't it? 0.1% shrinkage. It was predicted to have dropped by 0.3%. Come on, talk me through it. How bad is it? And is the king to blame?
The good news is that we're not in recession, Patrick. A recession is 2 consecutive quarters, so 2 consecutive 3-month periods in a row where the economy actually contracts. If you look from April, if you look at March, April and May, the economy is basically flatlined because in April it actually grew by 0.3%, even though it's contracted a little bit in May on these latest numbers. So unlike the Eurozone, unlike Germany, Europe's economic powerhouse, the UK isn't yet in recession. My concern is if the Bank of England keeps raising interest rates the way it has been, I think it should stop now. It's done 13 interest rate rises. That will drive us into recession. And if you look at the specific example you raised of the coronation day, now, on the one hand, you and I know that on Coronation Day, the pubs were absolutely rammed and hospitality industry was saying, oh, yeah, we need this. This is a big boost for us. But the hospitality industry in this country, even though we're pretty good at pubs and restaurants and all the rest of it, aren't we? It's only 10% of the economy. So if no one's at work and all anyone is doing is, you know, sitting at home watching telly, barbecuing or maybe down the pub having a few sherbets with their friends, then the economy can still contract. So I think because of that whole day taken out of a working month, if you like, it was always expected, but there was going to be a little bit of a contraction compared to the month before, but it's less than we expected. So the UK isn't in recession. There's a danger it may go into recession if we keep going too hard with the interest rate rises. But for now, at least, I know the cost of living crisis is still there. I know a lot of people are finding it hard to make ends meet, but we're still getting a lot of investment into this country and the economy, for the most part, is holding up. Yeah,
good stuff. And I actually read a fascinating article over the weekend about what's going on in Germany at the minute, and they're kind of bubbling under the surface there.
Bad industrial relations in Germany, big time, and more to come. A lot of political extremism. You've got AfD now, which is, you know, people talk about conservative members of the Conservative Party are hard right or far right because they want to they want legislation that tackles the small boats. They're not hard right or far right. They're centre right because what they're doing is what many other countries are doing, not least in Scandinavia. But Germany has got a proper hard right party. It's called AfD, Alternative for Deutschland. It's certainly way to the right of the CDU, Angela Merkel's party, broadly the same as the Conservatives, and certainly to the right of the SPD, Gerhard Schröder's former party, which is, you know, sort of broadly a sort of new Labour-style party. And AfD are now winning elections. They're winning mayoral contests, not just in East Germany, where they were popular, you know, the former communist part of Germany under the Cold War, but even in prosperous West Germany. And a lot of the reason they're winning is linked to this small boats issue, this migration crisis, this refugee crisis, which, of course, the Eurozone and Germany in particular experienced big time in 2016, 2017, and is now experiencing again. So for now, at least, you know, I'm not complacent at all about the UK economy. I do think inflation's going to start falling quite soon.
Hopefully.
I do think that the Bank of England, when it meets on the 3rd of August, should not raise interest rates. I think it will, but I think it shouldn't. And for the most part, as these GDP figures show, it's tiny amounts of growth, a tiny economic contraction. We're basically flatlining. And in a situation when the whole world is raising interest rates like Billio to get their arms around the implications of a pandemic and a sort of broader global slowdown, to be flatlining isn't too bad.
No, it's not. And it's actually really refreshing to hear that because, again, you see all these disastrous, doom-mongering headlines, don't you, slamming Britain. It never ceases to amaze me how many people appear to be desperate to live and work in this country and reap the benefits of the free press and all the lovely stuff this country has to offer, and use their position as a member of the free press to just absolutely hammer us non-stop.
A couple of other little nuggets from Patrick, sort of economic factoids. So since 2010, the Treasury put out a tweet earlier this week that showed that since 2010, so that includes the period after the Brexit referendum in 2016, the UK economy has actually grown further and faster than pretty much any other, certainly European economy that's in the G7, so Germany, France and Italy. So that was quite interesting. And also, since Brexit, the UK has continued to attract the lion's share of foreign direct investment into Europe, certainly more in the round than the other major economies. So again, as you say, if we're such a bad country, why does so many people want to come here, and why is so many people around the world queuing up to invest here, to buy our companies, to come to our universities, to send their kids here to learn our language, etc., etc. Look, there's lots that's wrong with economic policy making. I go on about that all the time. But it isn't completely doom and gloom whatsoever. There's still low unemployment in this country. We need to spread the wealth around a bit more, both between people and definitely between regions. That's a major bugbear. We're the most regionally unequal major economy in the world. But in general, I do think the economy is holding up quite well, despite the fact that we've got a very high tax burden. And it strikes me that if inflation does start to come down quite soon, then that could really change the shape of the political outlook. Obviously, the Tories are well behind Keir Starmer in the polls now, 20, 25 points behind. I think that is a reflection of the cost of living crisis. But if that eases, it could be that the election, the general election, we've got by-elections obviously next week, but the general election in what's it likely to be, autumn 2024, it could end up being more competitive than most people currently think.
Yeah, and actually as well, a lot of the left-wing media were hammering Rishi Sunak when he initially came out about his small boats policy. They were saying people care more about the economy, Rishi, than they do about migration. Well, if they're right about that and he gets the economy sorted, then actually that should be a great thing for him. Look, Liam, thank you very much, my good man. Cheers, Liam Halligan there, our economics and business editor.